that has brought us today together once again to perform all these important annual ritual. Last year we have 25 House of Assembly members here by the grace of God. However, this year, one of us has been called to glory. Late Honorable Abba John, member representing Ibadan State constituency. It's not by his witness, and those of us that are alive today is not by our power, it is by the grace of God. May I request, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, that we all rise in honor of Honorable John Abba, was for 1 minute. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Please sit down. Let me, before going into the written speech, let me appreciate the speaker and the various representatives of all the senatorial districts for recognizing our collective efforts in uniting, securing, developing, and ensuring progress and prosperity in our land. However, the modest achievement we will have recorded within the life of this administration, it would have been possible without maximum cooperation and support from all of you and the good people of Kogi State. We owe God Almighty that glory. And I urge each and every one of us, especially the elected representative of our people, to always be in touch and get in touch with the base. Let's live within our people. Let's represent our people very well. For that is why we are in the office today. We'll continue to do more within the limit of available resources. I appreciate you all. The Right Honorable Prince Matthew Kolawole, Speaker, and the honorable members of Kogi State House of Assembly, I am honored to attend these hallowed chambers once again to fulfill this most important of duties, to wit, presentation of the 2021 Kogi State Draft Budget. I commend this House for approving the revised 2020-2022 medium-term expenditure frameworks, fiscal strategy paper, and the passage of the revised 2020 appropriation bill into law in record time to ameliorate disruptions from the COVID-19 pandemic to our fiscal positions. Such responsiveness is a hallmark of a legislature in tune with current affairs and committed to citizens' welfare. The good people of Kogi State have remained patient and cooperative with our efforts to reposition the state for improved sustainability and livability. Despite the trying times, our people have shown great understanding and perseverance. I am therefore grateful to Kogans for their cooperation and support from my administration, despite the constraints of governance in the present dispensation. The honorable members are fully aware that our nation, and indeed the whole world, is faced with a precarious economic time due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Our revenues have significantly plummeted, both from federal transfers and internally generated sources. These necessitated our coming before the House to revise the 2020 budget for more realistic outlook. The situation has not improved much, as the contraction is still very much around. Thus, the challenge while preparing this budget proposal was how to strike the right balance between realism and optimism in what is still a dire situation. By the grace of God, we were able to take some unpopular but common sense governance steps in response to the pandemic, so that our state was largely spared of cases of COVID-19. Till today, Kogi State remains COVID-19 free. To God be the glory. We were, however, not so lucky with its punishing socio-economic effects. As you know, our economy is still largely dependent on the badly battered oil sector, which is still highly volatile. From 2016, when as an administration we first experienced a recession alongside with the rest of the country, till now, the oil sector has remained painfully unpredictable. Like I noted earlier, COVID-19 proved to be the overly disruptive and compromised the 2020 budget assumptions, as much that we were compelled to revise them downward. Accordingly, this year's budget was revised downward from 176 billion to 122 billion in our efforts to respond proactively to relentlessly dwarfing revenues and COVID-19 induced priorities. As you know, the 2020 revised budget was projected on crude oil benchmark of $57 per barrel, but as at the end of the first quarter of 2020, the price of crude oil has fallen to $17 per barrel. Thereafter, it oscillated between $20 and $40 per barrel. All other budget assumptions showed noticeably discouraging signals too, including exchange rates, inflation rates, GDP growth rates, volume of crude oil sales, etc. These developments significantly slowed down economic activities in the state, and by implication, our momentum to translate our do more mantra into reality. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, as we speak, major economies around the world, Nigeria inclusive, are technically in recession after experiencing 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth, while many are projected to follow suit. China is the only exception, after growing by 4.9% in the last quarter. On a happier note, Pfizer and several leading pharmaceutical companies have recently announced success in their experimental COVID-19 vaccine program, giving other credible initiatives towards finding a cure for COVID-19. We can cautiously project that many countries currently distressed by the pandemic will start bouncing back to the path of growth. All things being equal, it is our sacred duty to ensure that not only Nigeria, but our dear Kogi State is not left behind. It is on this note, Mr. Speaker, sir, that we have carefully crafted the 2021 budget to capture only realizable revenues, enhance internal generated revenue, aggressively pursue repayment of debt owed us by the federal government, reduce significantly the cost of governance, and provide more justification for our development partners across the world to contribute to the state economy. Most importantly, we intend to discover and eliminate all avenues for waste of government funds and resources, which may have eluded us before now while blocking any remaining leakage in our IGR portfolio. Common sense demands that we avoid white elephants and ego massaging projects. We will therefore prioritize payment of salaries to our workers and completion of ongoing projects. New projects will be introduced to meet only critically important infrastructure needs. Let me give you an example. The Kogi State or the Confluence University of Science and Technology is a live investment to fill in the gap of educational gaps of our people. So you don't consider that a white elephant project. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, today's presentation is part of the ongoing effort by our administration to improve the quality and timeliness of our budget processes. We have therefore worked hard to ensure early submission of the 2021 to 2023 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper, as well as 2021 appropriation bill. In the same vein, and ongoing by your excellent track records in years past, I have no doubt that this Honorable House will work as seriously to prompt review and ensure quick passage of these, our draft appropriation bill, into law. I will now present highlights of the 2021 draft budget and briefly scan through the budget performance for the year 2020 fiscal year. The Honorable Commissioner of Finance, Budget and Economic Planning will later provide details of the budget proposal. Year 2020 budget performance. Honorable members, you will recall that our 2020 revised budget was tagged Budget of Prosperity. The total revised budget for the year 2020 was 122.97 billion for both recurrent and capital expenditures. The revised recurrent revenue for this year was 101.06 billion, of which we collected 15.12 billion as at the end of September 2020, representing a 54.55% performance. The revised capital receipts for the same period was 21.90 billion, out of which 11.16 billion was realized, representing 50.98% performance as at the end of September 2020. A total sum of 78.70 billion was approved for the recurrent expenditure in year 2020. However, the sum of 50.23 billion was spent as of September year 2020, representing 63.83% performance. The revised capital expenditure for year 2020 was 44.26 billion, out of which the sum of 11.75 billion was expended as of September 2020, representing 26.55% performance. This low performance is attributed to the aforesaid deleterious effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Speaker, sir, permit me to mention some of the projects and programs on which we have sustained attention in this difficulty due to their strategic importance in creating economic hubs in hitherto uncharted localities, creating access to key social services for neglected communities, and stimulating socio-economic growth and wealth creation. A. Prompt payment of salaries, pension, and gratuity. B. Project Light Up Kogi East. C. Establishment of Confluence University of Science and Technology, OSARA, which has secured the much needed approval by National Universities Commission, NUC. D. Construction of Kenny Township roads. E. Establishment of Gari processing plants at OSARA, Ageva, Achozi, Ogbadu, and Ayetu Bede. F. Establishment of fish feeds mills at Geregu, Ida, and Ejiba. G. Rehabilitation of fish ponds at Ida, Geregu, Ejiba, and Adaveva with perimeter fencing. H. Land clearing with tractorization of 300 hectares of land at Ojapata, Osara, with cassava inputs such as NPK fertilizers, cassava stems, and chemical distribution to farmers. I. Procurement of assorted consignments of Geo plus NPK 24-10-10 and Geo Green Urea for distribution to dry season farmers in the state to boost food security. J. Sustain training and extension activities to farmers in the state in collaboration with the World Bank Appeals Project. K. Ongoing erosion control project at Agasa, Adumu Road, and Ozuri. L. Creation of erosion and construction of embankment at Greater Lokoja Water Pump Station to forestall flood menace. M. Provision of rural water schemes, including motorized borehole at Okofite and Adangeri. N. Provision of step-down transformers at Oduate, Odugegeli, Oduofom in the Kina local government, and installation of 30 differential time meters at Isolu in Yaba East local government of the state. O. Signing of an MCA on renewable energy, that is, waste to wealth. P. Reclamation of 40 hectares degraded forest reserves in Okura, Oniyin, and Osara. Q. Provision of solar power borehole and streetlights to selected rural communities across the 3 East Senatorial districts under the New Map initiative. R. Procurement of hydrometer installation, training, and automated flood early warning system through New Map. Payment of year 2019-2020 Superb Intervention Counterpart Funds. Construction of blocks of classrooms and renovation of school buildings. Others are drilling of 54 motorized boreholes in schools across the state and construction of VIB toilet facilities in response to SDGs target 6.2, which seeks to achieve access to adequate and equitable sanitization and hygiene for all, and to end open defecation by 2030. Supply of infrared thermometers to schools in the state as part of our COVID-19 response program. Health-related financial assistance to indigent Kogi citizens. Construction and remodeling of Presidential Lodge in Government House, Lokoja. Renovation and furnishing of Deputy Governor's Lodge. Maintenance of Greater Lokoja Water Scheme. Construction of administrative building for graphics, that is graphics newspaper, and procurement of modern printing and publishing equipment, making it the leading state-owned firm of its kind, at least in northern Nigeria. Renovation and first lift of Kogi State Council Hall. Construction of a chapel and a mosque at Government House for Christians and Muslim devotions, respectively. Renovation of various office accommodation within Government House and creation of sports complex for the Government House community and environs. Purchase of operational and security vehicles and assorted equipment for security agencies. Procurement of specialized SD biosensor antigen rapid test kits as part of our COVID-19 responses. Ongoing construction of additional facilities at Kogi State Specialist Hospital. Ongoing construction of Reference Hospital, Okene. Ongoing construction of Ultramodern Hospital, Egani, in Ajakuta local government. Ongoing construction of ultramodern hospitals at Gegu Beki in Kogi local government. Ongoing construction of psychiatric ward at the State Specialist Hospital, Lokoja. Replacement of transformer and connection of Government House, State Secretariat, and State Specialist Hospital, Lokoja, to 33 kVA lines. The lease continue. Details of the above project programs, along with other embarked upon during the period under review, will form part of the budget breakdown to be given by the Honorable Commissioner of Finance, Budget and Economic Planning in due course. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I am glad to inform you that even as we expend money on the long list above, we have been careful to maintain utmost transparency. In fact, we have institutionalized probity via some far-reaching public finance management reforms. Our efforts in this regard have drawn the attention of both domestic and international accountability bodies and made us the primus inter pares among Nigeria states. Kogi State scored an unprecedented 100% in the 2019 annual performance assessment under the state's fiscal transparency, accountability and sustainability, otherwise known as SIFTAS program, for result. Based on this fact and feat, we were ranked first among the 36 states of the Federation and FCT. I am proud to give you this, our scorecard. This entitled us to a grant of about 20 billion US dollars from the federal government through the SIFTAS program for the World Bank. As you can imagine, this money is a lifesaver for our economy. I'm sure you will continue to assist us to be accountable and to be transparent in our government expenditure. Year 2021 Budget and Accelerated Recovery. Honorable members of the Kogi State House of Assembly, I hereby present to you the 2021 Kogi State Budget titled Budget of Accelerated Recovery.